Welcome everyone, Joe with ECRM at our convenience and impulse sessions in Orlando. And with me is Andrew from Fresh Sense. He's one of the suppliers here participating, but he was also a moderator of the roundtable, the topic of which was focused on today's shopper, figuring out who they are and then how to address them. So we're gonna touch on some of the key takeaways from his discussion. He had buyers and sellers participating. So Andrew, thanks a lot for joining us. And give us an overview of what the discussion was about.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. We really started talking about the modern consumer and how do we find out about it, and just realizing that whether you're a supplier or a retailer, everybody uses different sources to inform who they believe their consumer to be, or today's modern shopper. And so we really touched on a variety of sources that they could use, whether that's third-party data was a very common thing, especially for the larger, more established retailers and brands, and then but also definitely leveraging your own data. What are your own consumers saying? Whether that's online reviews, whether that's post-purchase surveys, making sure that you tap into the voice of your consumers who are willing to give you feedback. And then
I think that's important. What you mentioned is tapping into your own data, especially for the smaller brands, because sure, I mean, there is some syndicated data available for small brands. I know we partner with, we work with both Circana and with NiQ. And I know NiQ has their Byzzer platform, which is meant for smaller brands, but also being a little scrappy, right? Your Amazon data, tapping into like social media, or what are some of the other ways that the scrappy ways that they did it?
Yeah, I mean, it's there for you. I think post-purchase surveys was another one, and even frankly, leveraging your retail partnerships. So when you're sitting down with your buyer, if they're not volunteering data about their customer, ask them about it. They're more than likely willing to share. They may just not know that's a priority for you. And we've certainly found more times than not that buyers are very willing to help you understand their customer, because you're going to be able to deliver better products that are more suited for them.
Yeah, I mean, you're partnering. You're there for the same goal. So if they're going to give you, even if it's anecdotal information, it's like, look, I know the shoppers in these markets over here that we serve are like this, and this is what they're interested in. Was there any talk about them leveraging social media?
Yes, definitely. I mean, feedback, especially for those newer brands, definitely getting feedback from social media as well. If your brand isn't trying to grow your social media presence, you're probably need to start. The best time to start would be yesterday. The second best time would be today.
I mean, that's a good point, because there are some brands that we work with that they've become social media influencers themselves. Right. Not all, a lot of them will work with influencers, but when the brand actually is the influencer, that is the best combination, because for two things. One, for supporting the retail sales at retail, right? If they have hundreds of thousands of followers and they walk into the retailer store and say, you can find my products here, that's gold. But then also they have that input. They could say, hey, what do you think about our packaging, A or B, right? Post a little survey. Packaging A or packaging B, and get that instant feedback. Sure, it's not hard data. It's a little bit, but it's still information. So that's a good scrappy way to do it.
And those engaged users are the ones willing to share and provide feedback, and they're going to give you, like you said, maybe it's not a vast quantitative survey, but you're going to get qualitative points that are invaluable.
Yes, and even the negative stuff gives you a little insight.
It's all good
on things. You can learn something from everyone. So now they're collecting. So you discussed all these ways of collecting the data. Now, what do they do with it?
Right. I mean, collecting is step one, but if you're not putting it to use, then you're doing a lot of work to not kind of leverage your learning. So, I mean, I think that looks different for every supplier, but a couple, and retailer, frankly, but a couple of common themes would be letting that inform your packaging. And letting that shopper, how they're shopping, let that dictate what you're putting on front of pack, what you're putting on back of pack. What are your words saying? What images are you using? What colors? All those things can be derived from consumer insights. I think the second thing that is definitely a part of understanding the consumer is like your sector. What retail sector are you trying to approach, and how does that inform your go-to-market strategy?
Okay.
And that's going to be, way different depending on the sector you're trying to get into.
So like if it's a convenience store versus a department store versus a grocer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you go after each of them too, right? With your products.
We do try. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a different market, different purchasing occasion. And it could be different purchasing occasions for each one. Grocery store, you're going in, you're trying to get everything taken care of. Convenience store is an impulse. So maybe you want to be a little more impulse related or driven at a convenience store, and then more destination oriented if you're in a department store or something.
Right, exactly.
So they're actually, and then so I guess packaging, the merchandising too, like how they display it and all that?
Yeah, merchandising's a big one, and understanding that store and how they need to promote that product to a shopper. For instance, our stores that we partner with that have lower in-store labor models, we understand that our shopper interacts best with our product when it's on pegs.
Okay.
And so we heavily promote sidekicks.
Okay.
They have a million names in retail, but that side panel with the corrugate pre-packaged, preloaded, because that way we know how the consumer shops. We know they want to find it on pegs, but we also know our retailers' limitations and what kind of labor they have at their disposal. When they can take out that preloaded and put it on,
making it easy for them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's kind of
too.
a win-win, but it starts with the shopper.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen. Put it in a perspective of your company. Tell everybody a little bit about Fresh Sense, what you do, and how you've done this for yourself.
Yeah. So, Fresh Sense, we're basically just an air freshener that finds itself in the home fragrance category, variety of uses, closets, from auto, dresser drawers, you name it. But really, I would say we are on a learning journey of listening to our consumers. And I think one meaningful step that we took recently was that we hired an outside agency to help us with that. And they really helped us uncover things like, your customers want to know how long your product lasts.
Yeah.
Isn't that a big consideration when you're buying an air freshener? For the last 2 decades, we haven't been doing a good job of telling customers that story. And so that was a huge insight that we were able to learn because we relied on an outside agency to help us find those things. And even after working with them, we've been inspired on our side to say, what other consumer data are we not tapping into? Are we not letting inform our decision making? And so I feel like there's been a recommitment at our brand to understanding the shopper and catering to them. And it's really exciting transition. So sometimes we can get in our mode of our own brand, our own go-to-market, our own retail strategy, and get some tunnel vision. Highly recommend from time to time having outside voices that can help you listen to the people who are buying your products at the end of the day.
No, and outside perspectives definitely helps, and that's why I'm glad you were able to moderate the roundtable and help other people get those outside perspectives too.
Yeah, I learned a lot by doing it. So.
Awesome. Well, listen, thanks a lot for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you at future ones.
Yeah, look forward to being here. Thanks.